All right, everybody. Hello and welcome. David Kinder here, registered financial consultant, charter life underwriter, here with my IARFC Virtual Summit co-host, Jeremy Nason. We've been working on this program here. Actually, we started working on it technically last year. We did our first one last year. Had a great time with it, great sessions. And we're repeating the same thing this year. Either we're glutton for punishments or we actually did something well. It's probably a combination of the two. But this has been pretty exciting in putting this together. Mainly, here's the thing, and I don't know about you, Jeremy. Actually, I do know about you. By the way, let's get this out there. Jeremy, we didn't meet until I became a member of the IARFC back about 15 years ago. I read your dad's articles he had submitted. Back then, the registered publication was a monthly publication, and that's how I got introduced to you and your family and what you do for the insurance industry. So I can trace a lot of my professional development back to membership in the IARFC. But aside from that, I want to talk about what we're getting together here. And I apologize, I'm a little under the weather, but so I might talk in circles, but I promise I'll get to my point. But anyway, I got a call not too long ago, a couple of years ago, from Leonard Simpson. He's the CEO of the IARFC and looking to increase membership among younger people. And apparently I fit that demographic. I don't know exactly what that cutoff was, but I'm like, wow, I'm in the younger demographic here. And so who do you else know that can help us to bring in younger people into the association? Well, we need to bring my friend Jeremy Nason in here. And he came up with the idea of let's do a virtual event. And we did that the first time last year. And I'd say last year was very decent. This year, we're already on track to probably triple our registrations. Yes. Which I'm really excited about. I love that. Okay. I hit a button. Don't mind me. Okay. Hey, Marcel. Glad to see you. So let's talk about what we can look forward to in this year's virtual summit. Now, you invited some speakers and I invited some speakers. Yeah. Because this stuff does not just materialize out of nowhere. And so when I became the admin of the Facebook group on the Professional Life Agents Insurance Discussion Group, I got a chance to connect with some of the top insurance agents and financial advisors and coaches in the world. You've had the chance to do the same with your various roles that you've had in the industry. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the slides here. Let's talk about some of these guys. Okay, we talked about Leonard Simpson a little bit ago. We took care of him. That David Kinder guy, whatever. We're good. Have you met Bhupinder Anand? Do you know who he is?
I know a little bit about him. I have not met him yet. I know you had him on the podcast a couple of years ago. I watched it, but I have not done a whole lot of research to get back into that. I know he's a top producer and a very intelligent man that talks a lot about sales, a lot about marketing, and can help you create a sense of value when dealing with your clients.
Yes. Bhupinder I first heard him give a presentation. I wasn't there for it. I got the recording. He did a 2006 presentation, I think, and it was called How to Work a Room. And it was such a great presentation on the power of potency of the words that we use to attract the right kinds of people we want to work with. And it was so powerful. The other parts that he talks about the value of being able to charge fees. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's important, I think, because believe it or not, fees entice engagement, because when someone has a little bit of skin in the game, they're probably going to keep going forward with you and actually trusting the recommendations you're making on their behalf. So he talks about that. So I'm looking forward to hearing more from him. But the neat thing about him is that he has a 100% persistency rate. How do you do it? And that's been over the past 20. I think this is his 22nd year at top of the table. Mm-hmm. So he's been doing exceptionally well. And he's out of the UK. And in the UK, they don't get commissions out there, guys. So he's doing things very differently. But I love hearing how top producers in other parts of the world, how are they doing? How can we adapt what they're doing to what we can do? Especially, we're primarily here in the United States, but this works for everybody. We have the IARFC has chapters all over the world. I forgot how many chapters. I know we're primarily in some of the Asian areas. We have a Philippines chapter. We've got got a bunch of them. Don't quiz me. I'm a little under the weather. I couldn't tell you. But with all of that kind of influence, I love being able to connect and network with what are people doing around the world and how are they making things happen in serving their clients. and serving their communities and such. So Bhupinder has got a wonderful story. He has a wonderful way of communicating. So I'm really looking forward to everything that he's doing. Pete Deruta. Now, do you know Pete? I have not met Pete before.
I have had a couple of conversations with Pete over the years.
Okay.
We both are. We were mentors both with Insurance WebEx, one of the sponsors of the event. So me and Pete do have a little bit of history. But again, talking about another top producer that brings in the majority of his clients through using media. So
yes,
the skill set he has, he's a great speaker. He's very well thought of in the industry. He's an MRFC, so we know he's at the top, at the highest level of the industry, and he's gonna be able to come in and teach you guys how to use media, precisely more podcasts, which I know you're excited about since you started your podcast recently. That this goes hand in hand with what you want to learn. So I know that's we got Pete on here for that reason, because he's a podcast expert.
Yeah, and by the way, everyone that's listening to this, one of the neat things, this is my privilege, and I'm going to spell this out. The best thing about being the moderator of this thing is I get to ask any question I want.
Yep.
So I want to figure out what I need to be asking him because he's doing some amazing things. Now, he did a little video promo for you. I'm going to bring this up real quick because it's just amazing just the way he put this together. So here it is.
News, folks, coming up on September 26th and 27th is the second annual virtual summit put together by the IARFC. I have with me former president of the IARFC, Coach Pete Deruta. Exciting news.
Oh yeah, it's always fun. We used to do this live in person, and a lot of people couldn't make it, so we're doing the virtual seminar. A lot of people have seemed to express interest and wanted to come visit the virtual seminar.
I love that. And there's so much going on. There are 10 sessions over 2 days with experienced professionals just like Coach Pete in the industry, giving great tips, practice strategies for you to cling on to and implement into your own practice.
We're going to have some fun there. We're going to make sure to keep it educational, insightful, and entertaining. I mean, nobody wants to sit through 2 hours worth of, you'll be there for a couple of minutes and you'll be gone if it's not entertaining. So we're going to try to entertain you, and that's the magic here in our industry here is entertaining folks, and that's a great way to get clients. And get clients that brag about you. And that's why my presentation is going to be called The Power of Media, Magnifying Your Greatness. Folks, I've been doing media over 20 years now on a weekly basis. I used to do it before then. I didn't know what I was doing. And the first couple of years of these 22 years that I've been doing media, I really didn't know what I was doing either, Thomas. But I think we've perfected it now. And this is a way to have rabid fans who tell people about you. Yes. You don't have to worry about asking for referrals anymore when people are referring people to your shows. So we're going to go through some magic pointers, and I'm going to wave the magic wand around a little bit on my presentation, and hopefully just be educating you a little bit more and insightful, and giving you something you can say you didn't waste your time on.
There you go. There you go. Register today, September 26th and 27th, the second annual IARFC Virtual Summit.
And there's no cost, folks, so what do you have to lose? See you there.
I need to learn how to do video production like that.
We all do. That is really impressive, and the fact he's going to be teaching his tips and tricks during this conversation, during his hour training, it's worth his weight of admission. I mean, that's worth the whole 2 days by itself.
Yes, and if he's using media the way how strategically he is, and by the way, one of the things I know about media, it's not just about where you are, but it's who you forward it to. Because I've looked at his YouTube channel. I'm sorry, guys. He has a little over 500 subscribers on his YouTube channel. I got 5,000. And he's doing far better with his channel than I'm probably doing with mine. So there's got to be a disconnect. I need to learn how to do that. I've been using a lot of my media as a wholesale type of a role, serving the industry. I need to transition and pivot more towards client attraction. And I'm looking forward to learning from Pete. How exactly do I do that? And of course, I pivot my existing stuff because hey, it's nice to have 5,000 subscribers. There's some social clout there. But how do I use that to attract more retail clients? That's a beautiful thing. And who better to learn from? So I'm really looking forward to his presentation. Now, Nick Palavita. You have some history with Nick Palavita. I've got some. Let's talk about how you know it. I think it's the Old Producers website.
I think it's the Old Producers website. We're going back some years now. And I've commented on a lot of his articles, a lot of stuff he put up, a lot of stuff he did. I actually contacted Nick last year to be on the event, and I ran out of spaces. So when you brought him back up, he was one of my first calls to make. So I'll let you take care of it this year because you have a relationship with him also. So, but Nick is, I remember watching Nick a couple of years ago, done some of his videos he was doing on understanding pensions and the 412I, 412E plans and so forth, and really helping you understand how these plans work and going through the real, for me, I've been in the business a long time, almost over 30 years now. And I've seen a lot of these plans come and go throughout time, but they're always so overly complex in how to understand them. Nick breaks it down so simply that even I can understand it. And if I can understand it, it's a great start. Yes. If we can't, that's what we're doing. We can't explain to our clients, so we got to make sure we have that information. But Nick, again, another great speaker, funny. He has some really interesting jokes he tells. He has some interesting sense of humor, but most of us do in this industry.
Yeah, we either crack or we cry or we laugh, and I think we'd rather crack from laughter. Anyway. I should go there. So I was introduced to Nick through his former law partner, who I've developed a recent connection with. Hello, Professor, if you're listening. Hopefully you are. And so he actually connected me with him, and so we actually had a nice conversation. I hosted him for a webinar regarding 412E3 plans back some time ago, and so he's back to talk about 412E3. He actually put together this is not too long ago, this 2-minute video about pension. This is actually a retail video. So I'm going to bring this up real quick. It's just a quick overview.
Pension Partners, where retirement planning meets peace of mind. Today, we're diving into the 412E3 plan, also known as a fully insured pension plan. This isn't just any retirement plan. It's the gold standard for stability and guaranteed benefits. How does it work? Simple. It's funded exclusively by life insurance and annuity contracts. This means no market risks, no actuarial assumptions, just ironclad guarantees. Think of it like this. You're a small business owner who hates surprises. The 412E3 plan gives you predictable, stable contributions every year. Your future benefits are backed by insurance contracts, so you know exactly what you're getting. No guesswork, no headaches. But there's more. These plans are designed to maximize your contributions and offer significant tax advantages. And with National Pension Partners, you're not just getting a plan, you're getting a team of experts, attorneys, CPAs, actuaries, all dedicated to making your retirement as secure as possible. We provide personalized consulting, ensuring that your plan is tailored to your specific needs. Best part, initial consultations and proposals are absolutely free. $0, zero commitment. So if you want a retirement plan that's as reliable as your morning coffee, head over to nationalpensions.com. With the 412E3 plan, your future is in safe hands. Retirement planning never sounded so thrilling. Perfect for small business owners who like their finances as predictable as Monday mornings. Stable contributions, ironclad guarantees, and serious tax advantages. It's the trifecta of financial security. And with National Pension Partners, you get a team of brainiacs, attorneys, CPAs, actuaries, ensuring your retirement is as secure as Fort Knox. Oh, did we mention the free consultations? That's right. You get a personalized expert proposal with $0 down. So, if you want a retirement plan that's as reliable as your morning coffee, head over to nationalpensions.com. Because when it comes to your future, boring is the new exciting. Retirement planning never sounded so thrilling. For more details, check out National Pension Partners at nationalpensions.com. Retirement planning never sounded so thrilling.
So, pretty good. I happen to like that. And so, Nick is definitely going to make the whole process simple, making sure we get the right kind of information, how to actually have the conversation. What's the tax advantages of a 412E3 compared to a 401k? There's some minor differences that sometimes just knowing these differences is helpful in having these conversations with business owners that show that you are an expert, that paying attention to the details is important while keeping in mind the big picture. So Nick is definitely one of those that knows that process exceptionally well.
And again, this is great for most small businesses. So if you get involved in the small business market, you want to hit this presentation. You want to hear this information. It's going to change the way you look at retirement planning.
Absolutely. And so now Jane Bloffus, I did not know Jane beforehand. I'm looking forward to her presentation. Tell me how you know Jane.
Okay, so last year when I reached out to Judy Hoberman to speak at last year's event in Arwen Becker, Jane was the third on the list of the speakers. Because again, last year our goal was to have 50-50 female to male speakers. Right? That was the original one to bring, not just having a full male summit. We've seen those all in the past. So in effort to do that, I reached out to Judy, who I've known for a couple of years, and Judy gave me a couple of referrals, Arwen and Jane and a couple other ones. And last year, the stars didn't align. And so talking to Jane, she was my first call this year to make sure, hey, they didn't align this year. I want you on this call. I want you on this summit because of the strategy talks about called courageous conversations. You know, the biggest thing with a lot of advisors, especially a lot of the long-term wealth advisors, the guys who have AUM and do the real high-end planning stuff, they tend to lose clients when their client passes. They're not able to maintain that legacy through the generations. What Jane's going to talk about is how to maintain that legacy, talking about her story, her daughter, her agent Howard, who's got to be 75, 76 years old now, almost retired, and how they built this relationship to really keep that legacy going, and how to create those conversations with the younger generation, when to get started with it, so you don't have those, client dies, you lose $2 million because the wife takes to the other advisor. This is how you avoid those problems. And Jane's going to talk a lot about this. Is how she makes a lot of her fortune personally. She's a producing agent and a coach now, and one of the top in the industry.
Which is amazing, because when I saw her video presentation, which I'm going to share here in a second, I was blown away. I'm like, I want to hear what she's got. I'm not going to hide this anymore. Here it is.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jane Bloffus, and I would like to personally invite you to join me at the IARFC Virtual Practice Summit on September the 26th and 27th. We're going to cover a very important topic for financial professionals, which is how to have courageous conversations with prospects and clients. Every day in your profession, you begin courageous conversations with people. This is where you have to start a dialogue in order to build a bridge of trust to turn someone into a client for life. And I don't know if you'd be surprised if I told you that 9 out of 10 people are really terrified to have these conversations. They don't know where to start, and they look to you to help them to get the dialogue going. Contrary to popular belief, people don't sit around at home on a Friday night and have conversation with friends and family about, well, what would happen if I died tomorrow or I became disabled? If you want to clear a room faster than yelling fire at a dinner party, just bring up this subject. But the interesting thing is the more you know about what makes someone tick, what really keeps them up at night, what makes them worry about the people that they love, this is how you develop very deep trust relationships. So I'd like to invite you to join me to develop your strategies further that you already use, or to learn new tips and strategies to help you to start these courageous conversations, but also how to engage other members of the family. Because, when you think about it, all the money you're putting into motion is going to go to the next generation. So it would probably be good to have had some of these conversations with them as well. I hope you'll be able to join me, and I look forward to seeing all of you at the end of September.
Yeah, amazing. And one of the things that I find that's unique is that when I hear from women and how they're being bold, not every woman is very comfortable in being bold. So being able to bring that out, I just want to see that from her. And what can I take from that? That's amazing, because we can all learn. And I've been told I'm a professional student of the industry, which I love that And when I can learn something from everybody and finding the patterns and adapting what fits for me is everything. And I call it finding my voice, which is what all of these coaches and speakers and agents, everybody that shares, it's not about you becoming like them. It's using what you can to create your voice that helps you become the best you. So it's not about glorifying all these people, though we kind of do. When we're in sales, we glorify. We have a little bit of hero worship, which I'm perfectly okay with. But at the same time, it's because they help us become better, better versions of ourselves, so we can better serve our clients, our community.
Absolutely.
Jeremiah Demaray. We both have a relationship with Jeremiah Demaray, but I think yours goes back further than mine, so I'll let you talk about it.
So I've known Jeremiah for the better part of, 10, 12 years. We worked on a lot of joint projects together. Last year, this stars in a line to get him on the conference. We only had 10 spots. We've got 10 of the best speakers in the world there last year. This year we have 10 spots again. I got 10 more best speakers in the world, some of my guys that I've trained and so forth. But me and Jeremiah go way back. We've done a lot of joint work together with him with Advisorist. I helped him grow his practice years ago. We did a lot of joint web classes. But when you're talking about a gentleman who knows marketing, who knows LinkedIn, who can help you attract business owner clients, how to set yourself apart from every other advisor out there, he's the one you want to turn to. So I know he's going to talk about LinkedIn, about marketing, and that's his forte. That's what he does. And every time we've done something together, marketing wise, it hits home runs, period. Finding me more prospects, we've done joint work together. It's phenomenal man.
Yeah, and he definitely knows his stuff. And the thing is, he transitioned from being more of a retail advisor to now being more on the wholesale side, helping advisors doing a better job. So that when we learn the principles, we can put them to work again with our voice, our message, so we can stand out as best as we can. All right, Dr. Sanjay Talani. Now, like you said, we've had a list of people that still want to speak, and we don't have that many slots. Otherwise, we'll probably be here for a whole week doing presentations and without any sleep schedule at all in there. Yep. But Dr. Sanjay Talani, he's the only repeat speaker we have from last year because his team reached out to me 3 months before we started planning this one. And like, okay, you win. Now, here's the neat thing about Sanjay. Now, we often in the insurance industry, we talk about benchmarks, right? And the $1 Million Roundtable is the benchmark. You have $1 Million Roundtable membership. Let's keep the numbers simple. That's supposed it's about $100,000 a year. It's not, but it's a little bit less. But let's say it's $100,000 a year. You have core of the table, just 3 times $1 Million Roundtable. You have top of the table, just 6 times $1 Million Roundtable. We didn't just do top of the table last year.
Nope.
We didn't just do 10 times MDRT. He didn't just do 50 times MDRT. He didn't just do 100 times MDRT. The guy did 1,201 times $1 Million Roundtable last year. That's practically top of the table every day.
Yeah.
And I saw that. I was like, Sanjay, is that really true? And he corrected me. He said, no, it's 1,201. I'm like, okay, how to get that one in there? And I asked him, I said, what's your goal for this year? He said, just 1,000. I'm like, okay, good. He's going to take a little bit of a break, which is probably good. But he's probably, as far as agents that actually promote their actual production, he's probably the #1 agent in the world.
Yeah.
He's right up there. And he has such a great mannerism about him. First of all, he's easy to listen to. But at the same time, he's got such a great philosophy on things, and he simplifies things to such a beautiful way. Now, I had it was actually mistyped in the announcement. I've got him for the topic of concept presentations in less than 3 minutes. And if you watch anything on his YouTube channel, he'll talk about like the flow of water presentation, or these things that are just magic in their simplicity, and magic in helping you to accomplish what you want, which of course is focusing on using life insurance and annuities in order to bring that about. So it's just magic with Sanjay, and so I'm thrilled to have him again this year.
Oh, absolutely. Last year we talked about creating conversations. Everybody who knows me knows I'm big on creating conversations and teaching agents how to do this. Sanjay's to a whole new level with simplicity of doing it. Just the easiest, I've heard a lot of speakers over the years, right? I can listen to Sanjay 24 hours a day just because he's so easy to listen to, and it's so impactful. Last year I took away about 8-10 nuggets in less than an hour of him talking, and I expect even more this year because I do presentations in 5 minutes or less. He's doing them in 3, so that's a lot better. I'm going to try to glean a few nuggets here too. So it's going to be he was great last year. He's going to be probably even better this year.
Yeah, and the neat thing about it, but it's his way of communicating. He's so calm. He's got this stillness within him that I don't think can be taught. But man, it's wonderful to try to tap into that, because that facet of him, which I don't know if it can be taught, but if you can channel that and people can sense that stillness and confidence within you, and it's amazing. I spent an hour and a half with him one-on-one, which was amazing, because I know last year's presenter, Kelly Smith, was one of Sanjay's first mentors, and he connected me up with him to help do a webinar that we did. It's on my YouTube channel somewhere, but we spent an hour and a half talking. And what's interesting is that with Sanjay, he's doing all this production, but he's not doing anything that drastically different than what anybody else is doing. But you don't get that realization until you're talking to someone like him at that level, and you realize he's not doing anything different. He has his own style, his own uniqueness, his own market, but then you realize he's talking about the same things that we're all talking about.
Yeah.
Which brings about such a sense of calm that we're all on the right track. All you got to do is find your voice to do it, and you're set. So, yeah, just wonderful. So glad to have him again. And he'll be speaking to us from Singapore, I'm pretty sure, that year. So that's one reason why we're starting at 8 a.m. my time, 11 a.m. Eastern time, because I wanted to make sure we accommodated him. If he's out in Singapore, that's like 12 hours later his time. So that's fun. Okay, Nick Royer. I do not know Nick Royer personally, but you certainly do.
Yes, me and Nick go way, way back. Back when we started the Pro Shop in 99, 2000, Nick was a brand new agent. Him and his dad, Jerry Royer, we go way back to training both of them on how to sell annuities and how to really work this market, create conversations. And Nick, back in the early 2000s, when he was starting to do the annuity business, starting to write some really good numbers, he was probably one of the ones that got the most involved in the media, branding his business. Group 10 Financial, still the gold standard of what he does, where he was the guy who was on the local Pekin, Illinois ABC channel every morning, talking about financial products, talking about financial planning and concepts, so when you hear, one of my alumni come on board, it's always a good thing. And Nick is just one of those really classy, down-to-earth guys that you can glean a lot of little bit of nuggets from, a lot of little bits of information just on marketing, on branding, on getting your message out there. Him and his dad have been doing this for now close to, his dad's been got to be old as my dad's, in his 70s now, so me and Nick kind of grew up in the industry together. Our ages aren't too far apart. I think he's either a year older or a year younger than me. I can't remember which one. Okay, We've been doing it for a long time, and he brings a really unique spin. He's been, part of the board of the IARFC. He was the head of recruitment for years with the RFC when Ed Morrow was the president. And I know there's some videos out in the YouTube world that you can find Nick's recruiting videos for the IRFC still, and some of the best information I've ever seen put out.
Yeah, Nick has a wonderful presence about him, to be sure. He knows how to command an audience. I've seen some snippets of him. He knows his stuff. He's a man of conviction, and I love hearing that. So if we can adopt a little bit of that helps us build our conviction and our presence as we're talking to our prospects, clients, and especially if we're talking about media. Hello, we all could use some of that. Now, who do I have next? Jim Ruda. Okay. So Jim is the guy. Now, did you know about Jim until about a year ago?
I didn't learn about Jim until the Professionals Forum this year.
Okay.
When I met him and shook his hand for the first time and learned more about the Solace podcast and the stuff he's doing. But I was blown away by Jim during, because I never heard him speak. I try to follow a lot of speakers out there, but hearing Jim speak in the Mason's professional forum and learning about his techniques, his style, it completely blew me away. Just phenomenal information. And he's all about life insurance, which is my passion. So I'm all about that. But
Jim is amazing. And when I was building the Facebook group that I'm the admin for, I also discovered, I think, and we'll talk about Van Miller in a moment, but I heard somehow that Van had done some sort of coaching program. So I started searching, well, who's Van doing coaching with, or was he being I couldn't figure it out. And then I found Jim Ruda. And I started looking at his YouTube channel, some of his videos. I'm like, Jim gets it. And so I just started following him. And when Tom Love, another presenter from last year, he asked me, David, what do you think about getting like 2 or 3 people onto a program and we just answer some people's questions and such? And I thought, well, let's get Van. But I don't know if Van will listen to me. So if we get Jim will get Van. And that was my mentality. And of course, it worked perfectly because then we had, this was in June of 2021. It's on my YouTube channel if anybody finds it. Good 2 hours with Tom, Van, and Jim. And we're just answering about the top 10 questions that people submitted. And, of course, some of those are mine because that's my advantage. If I'm going to be the host, I get to ask any question I want. This is why I'm the student here. And, of course, I usually ask questions that you guys would have in the back of your minds, too, because I'm not afraid to ask any question that might even make me look a little silly. But I will ask you. And so Jim, he just brings such great clarity. Now, of course, Jim, he's great with media, too. And Jim's out of Canada somewhere. Don't ask me where. I can't remember. It's above New York. Okay, it's that end of the country. But Jim's done amazing things like with Canadian Sales Congress and some other things that he's been doing for a long time. He recorded this promo for us.
Do you want to sell more life insurance? Hi, I'm Jim Ruda, and I've been collecting and refining the greatest sales ideas from the greatest insurance advisors in the world for decades as their tactical coach. I'll show you how to use them at the IARFC Virtual Summit in September. You'll learn how to attract top prospects better, advise your clients better, build your organization better, perform better, and finally sell life insurance better so you can multiply your results. You can be amazing. God bless, and we'll see you in September.
Just love his conviction.
I love it.
Yeah, and I'm a part of his program, Solus, School of Life Insurance Selling, if you wonder what that means. And with that program, he brings on different producers from all kinds of different backgrounds and such. I mean, recently we had Guy Baker, who's a past president of the $1 Million Roundtable, and we've had so many. I'm under the weather, so I can't remember them all. But so many different people that are on there. They're sharing their stories. They're sharing their things, and he has them on there for a couple of hours. And the neat thing about the way he's doing it is that as he's going, he says, "Wait, stop right there. You just said this. Go into more detail about that." And so Jim will go deeper into things just to help flesh out the real lessons on things. For example, and I think Van might be my next one. Let's see. He is my next one. So we're going to pick on Van for a second. I figured out how Van sets goals. He sets a presentation goal of here's how much premium I want to present every week. I'm like, that's a different way to set a goal. I haven't heard anybody talk about it like that. So I'm thinking, okay, I need to set a goal that I'm presenting $500,000 of total premium for the week. Something like that. Wouldn't that be a wonderful way? And if you're just showing 5 people $100,000 a year, that's a beautiful way to go. Now, Van, let's talk about him. Van has got to be the most prolific life insurance agent in the United States and Canada. He definitely speaks to Canada and probably other places around the world. But Van, now, if Van would communicate a little bit more with me, I'd have an exact title for him. But we've assigned him his title because this is all he does is questions and conversations. Yep. That's all he does. He brings about these wonderful questions that helps you to engage with somebody, get them thinking. But he also, and this is his particular art, he does not tell them that he's going to help them. He makes them squirm a little bit. What are you going to do about that? Who are you going to call? Is there anybody that's going to help you solve these problems? And he waits for them to say, well, can you help me? Well, I think I can. However he does, that's Van's thing. But Van has this wonderful way of turning current events, current headlines, current uncertainty, and turning them into questions to engage with other people and finding out what can we do about this stuff. Because whenever there's uncertainty, there's a place for life insurance, annuities, and everything else that we do.
Yeah, I mean, Van, I've talked to him. I've known Van for years. I'll start by saying that. My dad knew him way back in the industry. I met him when I was in my 20s. I looked up him as one of my mentors for a long time. And then reconnecting with him in the professionals forum this past year, he tells me that I'm one of his unpaid coaches now. So he still studies my stuff about, conversations and questions, but Van takes it to a whole new level. I teach a lot of the basic stuff. Van takes it to a level to make the client squirm a little bit, to get them to see what the big problem is, but make them ask for help. And his 5-question approach is completely game changing. And I have agents that are adopting it now and having great success with it. Just 5 questions you can talk about with any prospect and get them to want to do business with you. And that's amazing. So I'm looking forward to seeing Van again. I'm looking forward to hearing his he does the same thing over and over, but it's always learning 3 or 4 more new nuggets from everything he does. So just don't think you can learn everything you can from Van or anybody. There's always going to be more you can glean, because the more you educate yourself and the more you learn yourself, the more nuggets you'll glean, because you'll have more education to see advanced opportunities with it. So you may start small, but keep getting, it's going to get bigger and bigger over time. And Van's one of those guys you can always continually learn from.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is that, and I'll equate it to spiritual development, which is that every time we reread scripture, and I don't care what your spiritual beliefs are, if any, but you bring a new level of understanding, a new level of person and perspective to your spiritual read. It's the same thing with studying what we do and learning from the same types of people. We learn from the same people, but that doesn't mean that we're the same when we're listening to them again. So, and not to mention, Van always adapts to the current environment, because he always brings up an economic update. So if you want to talk about the latest of the national debt, believe me, Van will talk about it. And he'll show a different way to say, don't you think that there's going to be a problem? What are we going to do about all this? Don't you think the government's going to lower our benefits? Then what are you going to do? He's got a great way, and he's playful with it, which is great too. And by one of the things that I've learned, and I'm trying to adapt it, hokey is okay. As long as you preface it by saying, look, this is going to be a little hokey, okay? But would you play with me a little bit? Okay. That's the way that I can excuse myself from doing that, because otherwise it's just not my stuff. But I'm learning that stuff. I'm learning from these guys, because sometimes being hokey is the most effective way to communicate. So you never know. You got to figure out a way to make this all your own voice.
Correct.
Hokey's
part of it, but compassion is also a big part of what he does. He is so passionate about helping people and changing people's lives, which you can't talk enough about.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why when we finally graduate from selling life insurance annuities as widgets, and instead now we're solving major problems, your career takes on a whole new level. And I'm not just talking about death benefit. I'm talking about all kinds of other ways that all this stuff can fit into one's total financial portfolio. That when you can solve those problems, your career is a whole nother level, because it's not a widget anymore. But I get into some conversations with people who think that life insurance and annuities, they're widgets. And I'm sorry, you don't understand what I do. In fact, here, I'll share a little bit of this. I share this whenever I speak now. Life insurance is very much secondary to what I do. So whenever you feel like you're being pigeonholed, that's secondary. I'm all about, and then you can share your real story. Here's what you're really about. I'm helping people to relieve themselves from the burdens of the tax man legally, using their code, their rules, those kinds of things. All right, Ronnie Kamar. I have not yet met Ronnie. I have yet to read a couple of articles, but he's a pretty dynamic guy.
Really dynamic guy. Former athlete turned financial advisor. I've never spoken with Ronnie. I've tried getting on the phone with him numerous times, can never pin him down for 5 minutes to talk. But he's the agent to the athlete. His niche market is working with athletes. I know he's been busy with the NBA free agency wrapping up. He's been swamped with writing plans and multi-million-dollar policies for athletes and working with their families. He's the agent for Ezekiel Elliott and his family. And Ryan was one of the guys we wanted to get last year. Couldn't pin him down. Finally got him. Susan went after him and got him for us. He's going to talk about niche marketing and really getting involved in your niche. So whether it's athletes, whether it's nurses, doctors, he's going to talk to you about how to really take advantage of that niche and why serving niche is so important.
Yeah, and this session is going to be a little different because apparently I need to interview him more. So this is going to be more of a one-on-one kind of a thing. I just have to prepare my questions.
Yep.
But I will get that figured out, and we're going to make sure we get the most out of that because, now he was a former athlete, therefore it's a natural niche because he already has those connections, and he just continues to cultivate them. How does someone like us who may not necessarily have that as a niche, how do we break into some of that? And how do we do so well without looking like we're just looking for the sale? There's all kinds of nuances to that, which can apply to every niche. How do you make sure that when you go to some association meeting that you're not relegated to the sponsors table, that kind of a thing, or the vendors table? You're just here to try to tell us what you do. There's different aspects. So I'm curious as to how that conversation is going to flow. All right, who else do I have left? Oh, that guy. And Jeremy, of course, you're going to be key to help, not just to help coordinate this, but you're going to be able to give me a break because you're going to manage the open panel discussion. And this is where it gets really interesting because we can see some of our panelists interacting with each other based on the questions that the participant, is asking. And if you don't ask the questions, as I've alluded to, I get to ask any question I want. And I probably will.
This is my benefit. This is my playtime now, where I get to talk to these guys like I did last year and host this roundtable discussion, panel discussion, and ask the questions of things that I want them to clarify that I learned from 2 days, but also pulling more information out of them to answer you guys' questions on a one-on-one level. Because this is, we're not just, I've been to 1,000 presentations where it's just speakers trying to sell me books, speakers trying to sell me widgets and new softwares and new stuff. These 2 days are nothing like that. It's all about educating the agent. It's all about educating the advisor, how to get your practice to the next level. It's a practice building summit. It's to get you to that next level, to no longer be selling life insurance as a widget or selling annuities or selling just product to sell product, but how do we elevate ourselves? So during the panel, I'll be asking these questions on how do they elevate themselves from the average agent to something better? How do we help the agents connect to that? How do we help them do that on a consistent basis? And that's what we'll be sharing during that panel. It was hella fun last year. And now when I have Vanna and Jim on the same panel, like we did the professionals forum, I'm sure it's going to be chaos in the best way.
Someone asked Jim, this was last year's professionals forum, and they said, Jim, what do you think of failure? He says, I don't recommend it. That was terrible, but that was good. So no, we're gonna have fun. It's gonna be a crack up, but we're gonna glean a lot of wisdom out of it. Now, at the same time, is there another agenda within this forum? Yes, there is. And so let me pull that out right there. We're going to be promoting membership in the IARFC, and I'm kind of going to do a hard sell on it. In between each session, I'm going to point out different aspects of membership in the association that you should learn about so that you can figure out how to take advantage of it. You see, it's not just enough to be a member of an association. How do you use it to enhance your profile? How do you use it to enhance your opportunities? How do you use it to, gain additional credibility and such with the market you're trying to penetrate with? There's so many different ways that the IARFC can help you do this. This is a practitioners association. It is done essentially by consultants for consultants. We're not trying to overly regulate anybody like some other associations or other things that are out there. We're trying to help you do a better job in serving people and helping to build the public confidence in the financial professionals that align themselves. So you do have to qualify. and you have to make sure you meet the minimum requirements. We'll talk about that. But when you're a member of the association, there's many opportunities to elevate your professional profile, elevate your professional prestige, and be published. That's a big one. I'll talk about being published within the IARFC. There's multiple ways to do that. And I've built up my profile within the association. I'm on a couple of committees, not just this one. I've got another one as well. That's a big project. I'm looking forward to announcing that when that's ready. I'm not even allowed to hint at it, apparently, but that's okay. Yeah, exactly. It's a big secret. But it's going to be big and huge because eventually my goals for next year is I may not just be the host. I will probably be doing a whole presentation about what we're working on. So that's a whole nother topic. So I'm going to leave that cliffhanger with that. That there, wondering what are you talking about? But that's pretty much the lineup this year. So if you haven't registered, get to the link is scrolling there at the bottom. Wherever I'm streaming this, there is the link in the video description. So click on that. And by the way, Jeremy and I are in a little competition. It's a friendly competition. And as of this morning, I'm winning Jeremy by 1 registration. So depending on where you're seeing this, if you're seeing this on Jeremy's channel, you can lie and put my name. No, I'm teasing. No. No, but if you're seeing this from Jeremy's social media channel, put his name when you register. If you're seeing it through mine, put my name when you register. It's just brownie points. We're just going to see who wins. But anyway, we're trying to see how else we can get the registration numbers up. We've actually got a record number so far. We're beating over last year's by at least twice as many. Hopefully we can get to 3 times. I'd love to see us hit the 3 times the number and even more, just because there's so much value here. And you know, it's just in time for the end of Life Insurance Awareness Month. But yet, for us, we don't have Life Insurance Awareness Month. We live life insurance awareness 24/7, 365 a year. So anytime we can, learn some things to put into our practice to build and grow and elevate our way of how we can communicate, that much the better for everybody. Yep. Any other thoughts?
We have sponsors this year, so we got to make sure we'll be shout out to sponsors and different things, the different giveaways the sponsors will be doing. I know I'm sponsoring this year's event, but I'm also going to be I wrote a new ebook exclusively for this event that I'll be releasing that day. No, not any sooner. Okay. So again, some other freebies and stuff you guys are going to be getting from just showing up. So
I haven't seen it yet. Okay.
No, I wrote it this morning, so no one's seen it yet.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Well, anyway, yeah. So this is a bunch of ways to serve the insurance industry, and quite frankly, we're all trying to get better. We're the Practitioners Association. Get registered, join us. And by the way, now one of the big questions will be: is it going to be recorded? Yes, it will be recorded, but you can't get the recording unless you become a member. So it's a members-only benefit to get a recording of this 2 days, but you can attend live for free. Be our guest. Learn as much as you can. If you record it on your own devices, no one's going to hold it against you. But at the same time, we want you to become a member of the association. I'm going to do a hard sell in between each session about why you want to become a member, because there's some massive benefits here.
And if you're already a member, you do get your CEU credits from this event for attending. Yes. So if you're already a member and want to get your CEUs done easy, here's a way to get 10 hours of CEU out of the 40 you need. 20.
You get 2 hours worth for each speaker. So it's 20 hours of, and it's IARFC CE. So I don't want anybody thinking that it applies for anything else. It is for your association registration. So Marcel's been watching this entire time. His registration is up for, I don't know what that is. So let me know how much stuff I will get. So bid high. Okay. All right, Marcel, appreciate you, buddy. Okay. All right, so I think that's pretty much it. Wow, we spent a lot of time on this, more than I expected, but this was great. Really enjoyed talking about this with you, Jeremy. So anyway, we'll see you all on the 26th or 27th, 2 full days. Be prepared to take a whole lot of notes, and we'll see you then. Thanks so much, and have a great one. Bye-bye.